To give you a brief update on the 2021 census. Um, 2021 census, I just have to mention at the beginning that it's a very resource-intensive exercise. We will have to enumerate every Papua New Guinean through the breadth and width of the country. It requires a lot of financial resources, human resources, technical resources. So it is indeed a very resource-intensive exercise. And it is one of the key deliverables of the current government, and we are prepared to conduct this 2021 census. We have shifted it up to 2021 basically because of the state of emergency and the lockdown due to the pandemic. So that's basically why it has shifted up to 2021. And currently what we are doing is that we need to have a proper listing and mapping exercise. Because human beings live in structures, buildings, we are utilizing satellite images to identify those buildings. Of course, we have the 2011, 2000 listing exercise that we've done, and we've got it into our database. So what we are now doing is we only try to improve by looking at the new buildings, new structures, and new developments. Most of the updates will be based in the urban areas, in the areas where a lot of development take place. Like, for example, in Port Moresby, we have a lot of developments in Moresby South and Moresby Northeast. In the last 10 years, there were no structures and buildings in some of those areas, like the Taroma Valley and in 8 years in those places. So we are looking at improving those mapping and listing exercise. So we are almost about 80% complete. And once it is completed, we will send some officers by January to actually verify those in those locations. So they will be going out to those, particularly in the key development urban areas like Ley, Mantagan, Kokopo, and those places. So we are doing that. So that's one of the important exercises that we are undertaking. The second thing that we are also doing is the procurement of census materials. It will require us to purchase those materials. It's going to be a lot of things, and whatever that we need to procure has to go through the National Procurement Commission. Today's newspaper in Post Korea and National, it has come out for service providers to giving in their tenders. So there are about 5 or 4 key items that we have tendered, and it will go through the national procurement for transparency and for it to follow a proper process of financial management. So that is why we have advertised it to ensure that those service providers can be able to bid in a public to secure those services that they will render it to us in the census operations. So those are the key things that we have done, and it will take about 4 months or 3 months to actually have those materials or census materials and items procured for us, and then it will be dispatched to those provinces for the actual enumeration. So those are the 2 key things that we have done. We have done zero training, basically with the census staff on what sort of things we expect in terms of training. So those are the things that we have done, the zero training, and now we are doing the coding and editing training. So that is basically to look at some of those materials that we have published. For example, if we ask a question called "What are you doing?" then we are actually asking about the occupation. So we have a list of classifications on the occupation, so that has to be coded in the system or in the machines when we do the data entry process. So those trainings are underway, and we are doing that. We are also doing various other data entry ICT activities. We brought in a consultant through the UNFPA, and there is already here and is quarantined. So as soon as that is over, you'll be able to assist us to do the data entry formats for us on the computer. We have actually got the software that will be assisting us to do the data entry. And some of the things that we also do is the signing of the memorandum of agreement between various provinces and key stakeholders. We've done about 9 provincial MOAs. This is basically to share costs. Obviously, those information that we collect through the census operations will be for the provinces, and it is important that we share costs. And so that is why we have signed some memorandum of agreements. In the agreements, there is a matrix in which where the NSO will come in, where the provinces will come in, where both of them will come, and also the development partners will come in. So this is just basically to share costs, and this is one of the cost sharing and reduce cost measures that we are, or strategies that we have engaged there. Of course, the questionnaire that we will be interviewing during the enumeration period has about 50 questions. It is too lengthy during our pilot test. We have seen that it will take at least an hour to enumerate one household, one house. And that's going to be expensive because we're going to engage so many people to do that. So what we are coming up with is to cost-cutting measures. How are we going to cut the number of hours or time that is going to be involved in interview? And how are we going to collect the necessary information that we require? And that is the strategy that we are looking at, and that is the key strategy, and that is one of the key strategies that will cut the costs. So it will cut the cost by at least a quarter of it from the actual enumeration, and those are the strategies that we are undertaking. And the operations at NSO is going ahead, and we are in a smooth transition from the state of emergency and the new normal. So we are going through a lot of difficult times, but our planning and our progress in the preparatory stages are going well. The funds that will be coming from the government, how are we going to disperse to the provinces for the execution of the census operations? We have financial instructions and financial guide that will assist us on how we're going to send those money to the provinces. So we have all those things in place. When I first came in, I knew that the financial, they were not able to follow financial management because that's one of the main things that we need to control. And it was not there. And I think it is the first government state agency to come up a NSO tailored financial policy and financial management or procedures manual that I produced. There are about 16 forms, and if they comply with those 16 forms on everything that we do, nobody will go wrong with the financial management of the funds that we are going to utilize in the census operation. So that is basically for me to have a clear visibility of the funds that we are going to be expanding. So that is the thing that we are doing, and I am pretty sure that the census will be successful. Because of the preparatory activities that we are underway. And if anybody has any queries or any questions about NSO, I don't want people to get information from the streets. We have the census management team in place, and the National Statistician, acting National Statistician is there to verify and clarify all those questions and any other negative feelings that any other people are gathering from the streets or from anywhere. So NSO is there for you to get answers and feedbacks on where we are and what we are doing and where we're going to go and how we're going to sustain this big operation that is there with us. And that is why I want to inform the public as well that we need to be very clear on what we are doing, and I don't want people to get a bad impression on what is happening at NSO. So we are here to tell the country. I normally have a weekly column that will come in place in December for me to inform on a weekly basis what NSO is doing in terms of the preparatory activities on the census operations. So as far as I know, we are in the right track. Of course, we have limited resources as usual, but we have to strategize. We are there to do strategic management of that operations. The data collection exercise has quite a number of methodologies. There are quite a number of sources that we collect this information. And we've got to be very careful on what sort of methodologies we apply and what are the sources of information that we are going to collect from. So we know, and through proper consultations and engagement with our census technical advisors, technical team, we are able to deliver that census. And I'm just only requesting public to support us. It's a national event. It belongs to everyone because every policies, decisions, laws, legislations that we undertake in the country is basically for the people. And that is why the census operation is basically to take a proper stock take of Papua New Guineans, where they are, what are they doing, and what sort of economic activities they are involved in. Are they educated? How many of their children are dying? What is the source of income, the source of energy, source of water supply, including the education levels and all these things. So it's a key information. It's the key denominator for any other data that we collect in the country. So that is one of the key information source that we are trying to gather for the people of Papua New Guinea. So we need a cooperative, coordinated approach from different stakeholders, including the governments, the development partners, and the general public to support these operations. So it's nothing to do with it's nothing to do with it's not basically an head count. It's knowing who is who, and like it's about what am I. So I talk about my employment, I talk about education qualification, I talk about my source of income, I talk about the type of house that I am living, I'm talking about the energy sources that I'm getting, where I am a migrant or not, I'm talking about those things, and also the water supply sources, where we're getting, and all these things. So it is a very, very fundamental database that we are trying to capture for the country to base on, to make decisions, policies, effective budget or effective resource allocation, and to monitor and evaluate and monitor our development policies that we have already developed. So that's one of the key things that we are doing. But as I said, we are on track, and the government is good. We just sent a release of some money to us. We should have the warrant, and by November, December, February, January, we should be conducting various other activities. I think that's basically on the current census operations. We're also recruiting some of the officers that will assist us. So we are looking at who's going to come, and we are putting up notices shortly to bring in key officers that we will require to assist in the operations. At the moment, we have a provincial census coordinators in the provinces. Those provincial census coordinators that are not doing well, I've sacked about 6 of them. I've disengaged 6 provincial census coordinators that were nominated by the respective provinces. And when I say that they're not doing their work, the minimum requirement of a provincial census coordinator is not met. I've terminated 6 of them. And I'm not going to back into people who do not perform, basically because this information belongs to the province, and I don't want to compromise the population data for people that cannot be able to assist in delivering this key deliverable of the government. Thank you.